Hello, and welcome back to the Plutocracy Report on PRN. I'm your host, Vince Marcanti. Well, I hope you're all doing well, and let me give my sympathy and positive energy to people dealing with hard times, including sickness and cancer, because it's becoming so prevalent lately in this environment, culture, and society that is so conducive to sickness. I saw a few of my friends on Facebook have been diagnosed with cancer or having heart attacks, and it makes me sad. Fight it, people. Don't give up just because they tell you you got a year or 6 months to live. They don't understand the ability of the human spirit, soul, and mind to heal the body. Get your nutrients and vitamins and absorb and radiate love and tell yourself you will heal. No negative thoughts, and don't let them fry you and poison you to death. I'm sorry, I can't give medical advice. I'm too stupid for that, but I wouldn't take their poison. It's sad when good people get sick, and then they have to deal with our health system of insanity and plutocrat protocol and insurance shenanigans if you aren't rich. Well, on that note, let's start the show with a short quote from the brilliant Aldous Huxley. Medical science has made such tremendous progress that there is hardly a healthy human left. Yeah, well, health is not important when compared to profit at all cost plutocracy that has permeated every aspect and sector of our societies. Truth is, we are at a time of unlimited lies and deception because money is all that matters to governments and our repressive socioeconomic system, and plutocrats are in charge of it all. And if you don't think it matters or doesn't affect you, you're dead wrong. It affects the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, the doctors we trust, the news we hear, and of course our entire habitat suitable for humans to survive is being decimated. We need to get involved and gain the ability to govern ourselves in the best interests of all of us. Our health and well-being is more important than our artificial economy. Those in the pampered, greedy leisure class don't mind the way things are, and they're not mentally fit to lead or even pretend to lead in their political puppet performances on Capitol Hill. Now, what I say is so empirically obvious that the power of perfected propaganda has to be so strong that they can get us to love what is bad for us. In the second half, I'm going to address what I think the human tendency that is taken advantage of to subjugate us. And the revelation came to me while I was watching a documentary on Scientology. We are so brainwashed that people think disaster economics is good. Surveillance and police state plutocracy is necessary. Capitalism is good for the poor, and socialism is good for the rich. And war is patriotic. Oil is good even for the oceans. Vaccines are just great no matter what's in them. In fact, you don't even have to ask or know anything about it. Just get the jabs and trust for-profit big pharma. Electromagnetic radiation, including 5G millimeter waves. It'll be fun! Hurry up and hook us up so we can beat China with more cancer cases, which is also profitable for healthcare stocks. Oh, and geoengineering isn't bad because it could save us from global warming. Don't worry about the deadly implications. We don't need to be friendly with other nations and trade fairly. Let's punish Iran and Venezuela with devastating sanctions and try to foment a coup before we bomb them, or just blow them up and lie about the true reasons like Libya. Oh, and we need to pay for military junk and bases around the world because the Russians will kill us if we don't spend all our money on useless military crap. That sounds reasonable, huh? It's so hard to think of a more diabolical system and more insane people in charge, yet we simply accept this insanity as the best we can do. Don't revolt. Be a good little sheepy, because the game is on tonight and you can't miss that. When will a majority agree it's time to remove the cancer of plutocracy and quit pretending one of the two pathetic parties are any freaking different? Jeez, how can the Democrat Party be taken seriously by anyone anymore? I mean, we know the Republican Party is what it is. Regressive, repulsive, and repugnant. But the Democrats are supposed to be the alternative. And in fact, they are the most detrimental, deceptive, and disgusting party of delusional dimwits ever bought off. How do they survive? How do they have any support?
Oh, right, 'cause you only have one other choice.
The Republicans. Did you see the Democrats at the bar hearings? You know, pretending they're doing something worthy of their huge salaries by focusing on a farce while people suffer in our country and should be helped. And we're making people suffer around the world with our policies of punish and plunder. And it's amazing we don't smash down the doors and run them out of the country with pitchforks and torches. I was trying to watch some of that infantile puppet show for sheep, and one old fart Democrat says to Barr,
"Are you not appalled the Trump team gave secrets to a foreign government?"
"Oh, that sounds bad, doesn't it? And what secrets did they give away? Nuclear codes? Or strategic plans for our world hegemonic agenda? No, they gave them polling data of the upcoming election. Oh my God, that's horrible." So the Russians didn't even have to watch CNN to get that data. How treasonous! What a pathetic ploy to distract and divide us over nonsense while the country goes to hell. The Democratic candidates for president are so pathetic and wimpy, it's unbearable to watch. All of them, not just Biden and Buttigieg. They're all pro-plutocracy puppets, and none of them see the need for systemic change, nor could they achieve anything anyways. Only we can end and prevent plutocracy, my friends, united like the French yellow vests are trying to do. You know, but they still have too many sheepies and automaton cops. And they don't have a game plan either. They need a French Vinny over there to galvanize the people behind concise demands. You frog-eating, unorganized stinkers, get it done, Frenchies. My patience is wearing thin. I mean, how long is that Macron wimp going to represent you there? National bank, boycott, and strike. Get it done. And here, if dummies still think a Democrat will save us, wake the hell up. "Oh, but Vince Tulsi Gabbard is anti-war and we should support her." Yeah, okay. Great idea, guys. Let's waste our efforts on that useless cause. She's a military girl, for crap's sake, and she ain't gonna win. Now, how do you support someone who is dumb enough to volunteer for the most diabolical and destructive institution in the world? Yeah, I said it. I don't support the troops while they're under the control of madmen. If y'all boycott it and starve the beast, we can finally take it back. You're part of the worst man-made problem on earth if you join the U.S. military, in my opinion. No exceptions. Wake up, Tulsi. I saw her on CNN, and she can't give an honest answer to anything. She learned how to play the game of, watch what you say, don't step over the line with anything. The host kept asking her, "Are you in love with Assad, even though he's a war criminal who gassed his own people?" And she's like, "Well, we need to investigate more and find out what kind of a war criminal he is." Really? Why didn't you mention the uncountable war crimes our government committed with the military you joined? Then she said, "I was in Iraq and it broke my heart to see so many Americans injured." Yeah, who cares about the million dead innocent Iraqis? That's not heartbreaking. They had it coming, right? Oh, and that war was justified. There were so many weapons of mass destruction that were about to destroy America. You have to love the war and love the troops and act presidential, which means lie like hell, Tulsi. We don't need reasonable, well-mannered con men and women. We need radical systemic change. No, Vince, we need to support Joe Biden because he's the only one who can actually beat Trump. You see the CNN poll saying Biden is way ahead. Does anyone believe that crap? Or are the Democrats so freaking pathetic that it's true? I'm not sure. The Democrats are the party of warmongering and overthrow of other nations and democratically elected leaders. And they love anything not Trump. That's their only problem now is Trump. Just the face of the president. That's all. That's all that matters to them. Let's focus our efforts on impeaching him, maybe we'll get it done before 2020. You freaking morons. Yeah. Obama made these Democrat sheepies pro-war. They had to love it because they supported Obama doing it. He made them believe destroying other countries for the interests of the plutocrats is humane. Like Libya, which was a vicious act of mass terror to kill Gaddafi, who was probably the most humane leader in the world. And do you think they defend the so-called socialist president of Venezuela? I mean, listen to the lefty media, the head kook who spent years telling sheepies the Russians are our enemies, and Putin is telling the president what to do.
He did, however, make clear today, after this phone call, that even though the whole rest of his own administration spent all week saying that Russia was interfering in Venezuela and propping up the Venezuelan dictator there, turns out President Trump now says Putin isn't doing that at all, because Putin told him so. You see the headline in Bloomberg News today, Trump says Putin not involved in Venezuela despite U.S. claim. So Putin says he's not doing it. And so President Trump believes it. And so, hey, John Bolton, hey, Mike Pompeo, are you guys enjoying your jobs right now? You each thought your job this week was to name and shame and threaten and counter Russian government involvement in Venezuela while saber rattling about how everybody else better get out of the way because the U.S. is really mad about it. Guys, turns out your actual job is figuring out how and why you work for a president who says whatever Vladimir Putin tells him.
That damn Trump, he's going to ruin our chances for war with Russia. What a sick, disgusting, disingenuous, delusional rich person. How can anyone listen to people like this or anything on the commercial TV or radio? Oh my God, I'm so sickened by Democrats. I mean, you got Bernie and Warren saying, we need to challenge the billionaires who are buying Congress. Yeah, okay. Let's try to raise money from poor people and challenge them. Then we'll try to tax the rich a little bit more. Screw challenging them. How about you criminalize the buying of power, you useless turds, and make a fair and simple tax code for all, including the behemoth corporations that don't even pay anything, and in fact some get rebates and subsidies. No, Vince, work within the existing system and try to make tiny incremental changes that the plutocrats might accept to save their own asses. And we can only do it from within the Democratic Party. It's so sick. People over the age of 35 still play this game and believe it. Because if you're younger than that, maybe you're not been around long enough to see how absurd it is to still believe them. I mean, this Pete Buttigieg. I mean, it's Buttigieg, but I'm calling him Booty Judge. He's not much of a candidate, but boy, can he judge a booty. And he says Trump's booty is way too big and fat, so we need aesthetic change that he could provide with his nice, shapely booty. I mean, the guy is so naive and conforming. It's frightening because Democrats are like, oh, he's so young and smart and he can speak different languages. And he went to a fancy college. How exciting. And wouldn't it be great to have a president who didn't go to college and educated himself by looking at all available data and discovering things without manufactured bias? Well, I'm just dropping a hint for write-in candidate for president. That's spelled M-A-R-C-A-N-T-I. Does this guy really sound like someone you want to support because you think he'll change things? Or is a figurehead good enough for president? I mean, a young gay guy is much better than a crusty old bloviating buffoon. I guess that's all that matters. Listen to this dork, Pete Buttigieg.
Still here with 2020 presidential hopeful Mayor Pete Buttigieg. In your book, you share your stories, you talk about your life, especially as mayor. What I loved is there's an anecdote about you sitting at the desk for the first time thinking, wow, it's day one. What do I do? Where do I begin? Yeah. What would your day one be as president? You know, Obama said, I'm going to go for healthcare. I'm going to shut down Guantanamo. Trump said, I'm here to build a wall. Everyone has the idea of day one. None of them seem to achieve it, but everyone has the idea of day one. What is your day one as president?
I think day one, you launch a package of democratic reforms to strengthen our democracy, making voter registration easier, making it easier to get to the polls, but also launching things that are going to take years to achieve. Launching a reform to the Electoral College based on the idea that you might say is simplistic. want to give the presidency whoever gets the most votes.
Right.
Launching a commission to propose measures that would depoliticize the Supreme Court. I mean, big, deep structural reforms that need to happen, right? Not because I'm under any illusion that they can get done in the first few days or even in the first few years, some of these things, but really to remind everybody that one of the most elegant features of our constitutional system is that it's designed to be capable of self-healing and reform. Because every other issue that's so urgent, from, I think, climate tops the list, but climate, income inequality, education, gun reform, immigration, you name it, is going to be very hard to deal with if we still have such warping of our democratic system itself.
Yeah, the democratic system is warped. It doesn't exist, dummy. How exciting. He's gay and religious, because you can't be elected if you don't believe in a magical guy in the sky. Oh, I can't wait till we depoliticize the courts. Of course we can't change anything right away. That's crazy talk. But at least we can remind people of things. Oh, and voter registration is such an important issue, right? How about making a new voting system where we can do it from our phones or computers, and not just for elections, but instant referendums on every important issue that affects us. And do it quickly, not slowly and incrementally over the first few years or decades. Jeez, it's insane. We need a new election system. We need real democracy. No, Vince, the Russians will hack our email. We need voting machines that can be easily hacked by anyone. And long lines and red tape. You can't make things better. Just make registration a little easier, so we can all participate in the sham of the two-party system. Ay, ay, ay. Listen, in a sane society, everyone can have a voter ID number. You know, your social security number would work even. And you get one email address to register and use for voting, and everyone can see the results instantly. There's no way to hack that. And if people try to vote twice or something, they'll get banned or fined. It ain't going to happen. There's a smart and rational way to do everything in our society and government, and we don't do anything right, except distraction and propaganda. That's been perfected. Don't support the Dummycrat Party, because none of the above is the right choice if a progressive third party is not available. Or you're just given consent to continued corruption and plutocracy. Well, I know some of you will still vote for Bernie, and I gotta say, at least Medicare for all is a good thing compared to what we got. But it is we the people who must demand it, and we failed in 2010 and throughout history. And expecting one guy to force it through a totally bought and controlled Congress is naive and just plain stupid. We need to fix this country, and we can't do it within the system of plutocracy. Time to take back our government in whole and all at once. All right, enough of the dummycrats. Now let me make fun of righty freaks. People from both sheepherds are beginning to wake up to the fact that the government and media lies, and there are real conspiracies that took place and still go on every day. So in order to counter and subdue a great awakening, that we're living a life of illusion under the dictates of sociopathic plutocrats, we have the convoluted comic book conspiracies on the far right muddying up everything, because then the crazy crap is associated to the real conspiracies, as I like to point out, because it's important, and it's going on right now. And it's a big distraction. Climate change has become the source of the most insane denial theories, as, you know, it's now become undeniable to any slightly rational-minded human who observes things. They know the climate is changing. I'm sure the animals and insects don't deny it. I mean, geez, you should have seen the birds around here, how it looked as they're eaten out of the bird feeder in a snowstorm. I mean, the cardinals and other local birds came by even during the planned snow events in late April we had here. It just looks so weird, seeing the bright red cardinals eating out of the bird feeders in a white-out blizzard scene. You know, but it's spring and they're hungry and they're like, screw you, geoengineering techno-rats. We're going to eat in a snowstorm. And plants that came up got squished by the heavy, wet, chemical-laden snow. And everyday extreme weather is the lead story in the news. And after that snow event we had here, just as you would expect with chemical ice nucleation, it was 20 degrees below normal for a week. Now, when we finally have some sunny days, the UV radiation from the sun is intense. I could feel it on my face and on your skin. Every year I feel it more intense. And to me, that is the biggest issue. We are only here because of what is filtered out by the layers of atmosphere that protect us. I mean, the troposphere is the first layer above the surface and contains 70 to 80% of the Earth's total atmosphere. And the next layer is the stratosphere. And the low level of that layer contains the ozone layer, which absorbs harmful rays from the sun. You think we should be concerned about that deteriorating? Oh, no, Vince, it magically healed itself. Didn't you hear? Well, that's not what my instincts say and what I feel. And I trust my instincts more than BS science. Anyways, people are still coming up with reasons to deny climate change, even as extreme weather events and record-breaking temperatures and anomalies are happening every day. In America, we see geoengineering experiments going on daily, and we see huge temperature shifts and weather whiplash. So now the climate change denier community is going insane trying to come up with conspiracies to explain away what they're seeing. There's so many examples, but one came to my attention last week because this YouTube guy, he's got a channel called That's Impossible, and he uses clickbait titles to get a lot of views, such as, hurry up and view this before it gets banned. And I watched a few of his videos because some of them show homemade videos of extreme weather events such as flooding and mudslides and sinkholes and unnatural clouds and geoengineering. But sometimes he talks, and he's clearly delusional and deranged and has ADD. And he's not alone. I mean, geoengineering is a real conspiracy, and it's actually now being admitted to and being presented as something good without negative effects, just like 5G and vaccinations. We are already in a rapidly accelerating mass extinction event, and the plutocrat rulers know it. And this geoengineering atrocity is the only thing they can come up with, a pharmaceutical fix to temporarily treat symptoms while the host dies faster, and we just ignore it and carry on as if nothing's wrong, or as if a techno fix will save us all one day. So let me play an example of this guy really quick. And he has a terrible form of ADD, and he never finishes a thought. Many righty fringe freaks think like this, and they make up their own conspiracies. So I want you to hear just a minute of this delusional, self-made conspiracy crap.
You wanted to know how they're doing this, right? How they're going to make the continents flood, and how they're going to make it look like that we're having the Antarctica and the Arctic ice melting, right? This is a complete lie. It's not melting. It's not going to melt. In some way, global warming is a lie. Laptops and iPhones, when they take it all away, the continents are going to start shifting, but it's only possible if we are heated up. So what they're doing is HAARP chemtrails, right? They're heating up the atmosphere so that the continents start moving.
Oh my God. That's enough of that kooky dude. Good Lord. That guy gets thousands and thousands of views. I mean, there are YouTubers like this out there in mass feeding climate denial bias. He says they're using chemtrails and HAARP to heat the planet and to shift the continents. But no ice is melting. That's a big lie. This is what we now have out there from some people who do question things, but are insane. And then others who question nothing, which is also insane. In the number of people who are smart enough to look deeper into what's going on and question authority and government rationally, it's still a small percentage, I hate to admit. No melting ice, no global warming, the elites are doing it somehow. It has nothing to do with industrial civilization based on habitat annihilation for fiat money hoarding of the few. No, that can't be it. There must be a science fiction comic book conspiracy to explain it. Not just global warming, but even the economy is turned into crazy comic book conspiracies by the dim-witted, delusional righty Trump worshippers who think he is secretly fighting for us
To defeat the evil liberal deep state and George Soros.
and some QAnon simpleton is telling them the real inside story of their brave savior. So, as you know, our economy itself is a big conspiracy. You know, like one example is they say, the unemployment rate is the lowest in over 50 years. Yeah, while 102 million of us are out of the workforce or simply unable to make a freaking living. But the economy is booming without end, right, Shapies? While more than 6,200 stores are closing in 2019 as the retail apocalypse drags on, everything is fake. So the brave president is fighting for us little people and asked the Fed to lower rates. But they're defying him and they've refused to do so. No, we're not going to lower rates. Yeah, okay, guys. If we could only have 0 to negative interest rates, we would all be rich, huh? Well, they actually did stop raising rates by 0.25% since the market was tanking the end of last year. And it's going to start doing it again soon. We also have biased righty idiots all over the place spewing infantile propaganda like Mike Adams. This guy's a blowhard prick with ears who also denies climate change, you know, because current CO2 levels are great. The higher the better, baby. Yeah, okay, Mike. Flooding the atmosphere with CO2 is good. Yeah, water is also good until there's too much and you freaking drowned in it, idiot. Listen to the title of his article that Zero Hedge published. And that guy over there seems like a righty fool, too. Every liberal city in America is headed towards Venezuela. Really? Listen, this is what he wrote. Seattle is rapidly turning into a shithole liberal city because liberals destroy everything they control. Remember, left-wing societies are characterized by authoritarian, wealthy elites who rule over the impoverished masses while destroying the middle class. That's exactly what's happening across the West Coast liberal cities today. No, you idiot. Rule by the wealthy elites is called plutocracy. If only we had Republicans in charge of everything, it would be a free market utopia, and we'd all be rich, right, Mike? The stupid cities where we elect dummycrat puppets and fools is because the only alternative is Republicans, which are even worse. The problems are real, but not because of progressive policy, none of which have ever been implemented. It's called plutocracy, and our economic system is a plutonomy, the root of all social problems. The two-party crap is a charade for numbskulls like Mike Adams to form and reinforce his bias and deflect outrage away from the ones truly responsible. And, you know, the problem is with him is that he's also an anti-vaxxer, which is good. But now people will associate his views on that with his delusional, brainwashed, right-wing bias. Thanks a lot, asshead. I hope your dreams of becoming the next Alex Jones works out for your dumb, biased ass. I mean, they hate Democrats, which, of course, is justified. But they believe anything that makes fun of them. And to think the other party is better and not just the other cheek of the corporate ass is biased delusion and unhelpful to anyone or anything. Listen to this idiocy that happened last year. Headline: Fake news website created to test Donald Trump supporters' gullibility reveals they will believe anything. Yeah. James McDaniel's website claimed Barack Obama was plotting a coup from a secret bunker and Hillary Clinton was a child-sacrificing maniac. Now, she's a maniac, but I doubt she sacrifices children. The site got more than 1 million views within 2 weeks and hundreds of thousands of likes and shares. Wow. I can't even get 5 likes for being rational. When one commentator, truth seeker, dared suggest the story Obama ran pedophile ring out of the White House might possibly be fake, he was told, "Really, truth seeker? If you had any clue of the truth, you'd know that WikiLeaks hasn't published one thing that has been false. So please use your own mind. Stop listening to the mainstream media and realize what the truth is." That Clinton's a child-sacrificing maniac. He followed Obama ran a pedophile ring out of the White House with a fake story about WikiLeaks publishing an email in which Hillary Clinton supposedly urged the then president to restrict his child abuse to the pizza arrangement. Oh, God darn morons. They are against the elite, but they do exactly what they want and spread bullcrap that only Democrats are evil. If you tell them something rational like, "Hey, you guys, listen, Obama was bad. He was a bad president, but that's because he was a perfect puppet of the plutocrats and did whatever they wanted. You don't have to make up crap about him, abusing kids, or say his wife is a transvestite, or he works for the Muslim Brotherhood. The truth is bad enough." Then they get mad. They only want to hear things that reinforce their delusions and manufactured biases from the righty mind manipulators. What's up over there, Vinny? You got a call? Yeah, I'm not surprised. I know who it is. Go ahead and patch him in. I had a feeling this was coming. They're going to take a call, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about this. Hello, Bruja. Welcome back to the Plutocracy Report. Now, what do you want?
To tell you your show sucks. I'm so sick of your whiny commie ass disrespecting our president. How can you not believe he's a real deal yet after the deep state liberals were exposed for attempting a coup against our president with their Russiagate hoax that was all made up?
Because it's just a crap show to distract us. Nothing more. Everything the government does in public is a show so we don't focus on the terrible things they're really doing for the plutocrats. I'm telling you this over and over.
You just don't want to see the truth. That the liberals are taking down America and Trump is making it great again. He defeated the deep state, and now he's going to defeat the liberal central bankers at the Federal Reserve. You just wait and see. Trump is purposely going to let them crash our economy so he can end the Fed. Then he'll take back our money and put us back on the gold standard like we should be.
Yeah, okay. So the inevitable upcoming collapse is actually a bold and brilliant plan by the Savior to take back our money supply? How the hell can you believe that? How old are you? Well, I guess stupid is ageless. If we were attached to the gold standard and money creation was limited to the amount of gold we have, the plutocrats would still own most of it, and it could never happen unless you end the dollar and start over. Bruja, Trump is a big spoiled dummy, no more in control than Obama was. The plutocrats are in charge. Everything you believe is a crap show, and you're behaving just how they want you to behave, with bias for your sheep herd. Wake up!
Our problems are the Democrats. The liberals. Look at every liberal city. They're falling apart from the socialist agenda. And if Hillary was elected, we'd be just like Venezuela right now.
Really? She would have imposed devastating sanctions on us?
She would have started war with Russia.
Listen, dude, you have to give up on believing Trump is a savior. You're being conned and gullible. I'm sure of this. There is no doubt about it. But even if I am wrong, and Trump is not just a spoiled, bloviating buffoon, and the freaking earth is flat, and climate change is a hoax, my main argument still holds true, that we need to unite and overthrow this control structure of the plutocrats.
The true patriots of this country are behind our president, and in the last election we did overthrow the liberal deep state power. And we need to support Donald J. Trump, our fearless leader, who finally took them on. I love that man, and you should too.
Well, all righty then. I guess there's no change in your mind, huh? Well, thanks for calling, Bruja. Everybody loves you, man. I mean, I get emails asking, when will I have you on again? I mean, all the men want to be like you, and the women want to be with you, you tough-talking stud, you. You know what? You're just like a rock star on this show, Bruja. You're just like Joe Walsh. You know why? Because you're living the life of illusion. That was Joe Walsh, Life of Illusion, from the album There Goes the Neighborhood in 1981. Well, thank you, Joe. That's a cool song, and you had a few good ones. Then you joined the Eagles. I'm not really into that wimpy popular rock, but you made one good song with them, and we will hear that at the end of the show. I mean, the Eagles were too wimpy and commercial and mainstream for me, and they were the first to charge a super amount for their concert tickets. I was astounded people actually went to that. That was Joe's last decent album, but he's a funny and cool dude, and the title of that song fits into the life of many sheepies. I mean, they live in total illusion and delusion. All right, time to reveal my latest revelation. I've been fascinated at how most people don't want to think about what's really going on within their government and the world for the most part. Why don't we stand together and demand what we want and what we need? Why have we allowed a police-state plutocracy to emerge with no resistance? Here in my state of Illinois, we, the non-wealthy, are taxed to death. I mean, on everything. For instance, we pay way more than our share for property tax. I mean, some people have a freaking litter of kids, and they don't know how to stop popping them out. And some of us have no kids in school, but we all pay too much for schools. Even if you're renting a home, tax drove up the rent, Mostly because tax dollars are wasted, plundered, scammed, and simply way too high. Except for the rich, of course. They don't have to pay as much because they're such good, hard-working people. I mean, pensions for retired city workers are ridiculously high, and we struggling hard workers who have peanuts in the bank pay for it all. So we're taught to blame each other. It's all the liberals' fault. You dumb Democratic voters. You're the reason why things suck. Of course, when the Republicans get in, the taxes stay high for us, but they go down for the rich, and they cut what little money goes to humane social programs to make the rich even richer. And no one looks at the real problems or considers real systemic solutions. It's all by design for plutocracy to continue, and we don't admit to it or even acknowledge it. I'm still the only one who even uses the goddamn word plutocracy. Sheepies don't want to think. They just want to be part of a herd or cult. Democrats here in Illinois now think a chubby billionaire, demon rat plutocrat from the Pritzker family of malevolent money hoarding is going to change things, because they want to tax the rich a tiny bit more, and they're going to call it the fair tax plan. Yeah, that'll save everything, huh? And then they want to raise more tax money by putting gambling poker machines on every block and approving recreational cannabis and taxing the crap out of it, even more than they do to cigarettes and booze and gas already. As I said, their job as Democrats is to raise more tax money, not spend what they already got for the right things and make sure it wasn't wasted. Nobody asks what they do with the money because the state is billions in debt and things just keep getting more expensive for us little people, no matter which puppet party is in the slim majority. But if you're part of a herd, you don't have to do anything but trust the party and trust they're doing their best and trust that the other party would be worse. Now, why are we so inactive and uninvolved with our government that is supposed to work for us, not the plutocrats? Why are we so dumb and docile? Because in this slave society, where we are trained to love our servitude by a lifetime of elitist mind manipulation, to stand up and speak out and point out there are better ways to do things is discouraged and dangerous. Even just to point out problems and atrocities is dangerous. I mean, just ask Assange and Manning and Wakefield or basically any whistleblower or spreader of truth. It's hard to be a whistleblower or a government watchdog or true activist for real change. Just watch comic book movies and shut off your mind. Wasn't the Avengers movie great? Or Game of Thrones? Wow, I mean, I watched that one with the war. And I saw an hour and a half war with no strategy or cleverness, only monotonous sword and dragon fighting. And everybody's favorite thing, zombies, which is a great metaphor for the human race. The walking, brain-dead zombie sheepies. I mean, look at the emerging Internet of Things. People don't even want to turn on a light switch. It's too hard. Just ask the computer to do it. That's listening and spying on you at all times. Hurry up and get me some 5G before those damn Chinese get it first. So here is the connection I have made that came to me while I was watching a documentary about Scientology. People want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And in a functional, progressive, and truly democratic, egalitarian society, free of secrecy and nefarious actions of a elite power structure, well, that's a great thing because together we can accomplish incredible things to benefit our lives and give us freedom to do whatever makes us happy. But we don't have groups and collectives working to make our societies better. We have cults and institutions making us ignorant and subservient to keep things the way they are, like religion and political parties and hate groups and cults. Here is the natural instinct they take advantage of. If you believe in something and have unwavering faith, you don't have to think for yourself. Cults like Scientology takes advantage of this human flaw. The democratic government sham is a giant cult as well that has millions of us believe in it. So those people are not willing to think for themselves. That is the main objective of all evil power structures. Religion is the oldest template for control. You know, if a magical guy in the sky is in charge, you don't have to think about anything because it's all preordained. If the climate is collapsing, it's just what God has planned for us, so we don't have to fight it or worry about it. Every politician has to say they believe in God. Have you noticed that? Even if they're gay or a socialist. In Scientology, dumb rich people give tons of money to them, and dumb poor people work for 6 to 60 cents an hour for the insane science fiction cult. Why would people do that? How could they be so dumb? Because they want to be part of something they believe in, and they don't want to have to think for themselves. So they don't realize how dumb and despicable the cult leaders really are. They remain in total denial because they have total faith. Now, we are at a point at the pinnacle of plutocracy where the government of the rich can do anything they want without investigation and consent from the people they control. A police-state plutocracy emerged without a fight or revolt. Now, there are countless examples of us giving our faith and obedience to an evil cult called our government, just so we don't have to think for ourselves. I want to play you a mainstream story that, I kid you not, made me cry and hurt my heart so bad that your not-so-humble narrator of the Plutocracy Report finally may give up hope. This is a government out of control, and no mass movement has risen to stop or even challenge it. We are in such a horrible state now that you can't even make your own medical decisions for your own child.
A 3-year-old Florida boy diagnosed with leukemia is caught in the middle of a fight between his parents and local authorities. When the parents decided to halt chemotherapy, the police stepped in and took the boy away. The case is raising serious questions now about parental rights when it comes to a child's medical care. Molly Hunter has more.
A show of support this weekend for little Noah McAdams.
We fight for Noah's rights.
The 3-year-old was diagnosed with leukemia last month.
We were absolutely shocked, devastated.
After 2 chemotherapy treatments at his Florida hospital, his parents, Joshua and Taylor, say he improved and, according to his lab tests, showed no signs of cancer. The hospital wouldn't specifically comment to NBC News on Noah's case, citing privacy concerns.
We just want one of the therapies that are less drastic than chemotherapy.
The parents then sought a second opinion at an Ohio hospital, but Florida authorities issued an endangered child alert and tracked them down in Kentucky. According to his parents, Noah was taken away and a judge placed him with his grandparents.
I want my son home, and I want him to be treated with a treatment that is not going to damage his little body so much.
But doctors say continuing chemotherapy is the most effective treatment.
We need chemotherapy. It is the most effective mechanism, the most effective therapy for getting us to that 90% cure.
Noah's parents vowed to continue his medical checkups, but did they have the right to refuse his chemotherapy in the first place?
In order for the state of Florida to override a parent's wishes as to medical care, the state has to show medical neglect.
Now, if the parents call an oncologist in court who can show that chemo isn't necessary and that there are other medically appropriate treatments, the parents might actually win, but right now, they don't even have their next hearing date. Kate?
Yeah, I'm sure that's not a hassle to get an oncologist to come and testify on your behalf. That should be simple for middle class or poor people to do, right? You're a bad parent for not wanting your kid to be shot up with poison. But some indoctrinated guy in a white coat says it's the best thing for cancer, even if you don't have it anymore. Whatever the case may be, Let's not stop fighting for each other's rights against the profit pirates and their lackeys. All right, well, let's see if we have time for another installment of the wonderful award-winning show,
Hell going on out there?
Here we go. A 69-year-old Sunday school teacher kills her husband for watching porn. More of that Christian love. A 69-year-old Sunday school teacher in Arkansas shot and killed her husband because he had committed the sin of watching pornography. An Arkansas woman has been convicted of fatally shooting her husband last summer for his refusal to quit porn. Patricia Hill was 69. She was found guilty on Tuesday of second-degree murder in the July fatal shooting of her husband, Frank Hill, at their Pine Bluff home about 40 miles southeast of Little Rock. She told him over and over again to stop, and he said he would, but he went right back to doing it, explained Hill's attorney, Bill James.
He was sitting out there in the shed drinking beer and watching TV, football or whatever the hell he was doing out there. He had a pee bucket out there.
The guy had a pee bucket in his man cave? Well, maybe in Arkansas, the lawyer can get her off because she was justified
to shoot that sinner. The hell going on out there?
I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it.
Joe Biden seizes a surprising 24-point lead over Bernie Sanders in a new Democratic primary poll. It was a huge opening weekend for the former Vice President Joe Biden. Think Avengers Endgame here. CNN's John Berman said on Tuesday morning's New Day, introducing a new national poll that shows Biden taking a commanding lead in the 2020 Democratic field one day after officially joining the race. The top issue for Democrats and leaders was combating climate change, and the most important attribute for a candidate was the ability to beat President Trump, the poll found. Biden's early message has focused on beating Trump. He leads the other 19 candidates among all other demographic groups, including non-white voters. Oh, how progressive these Democrats are. They want a candidate totally in the pocket of the plutocrats because he can beat Trump. Why is that? Well, because he's not all socialist and radical. In fact, he's just like Obama and Clinton, a Republican con man. Well, this poll shows one thing and one thing only. Democrats are still dumb, useless sheep.
What the hell going on out there?
I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans.
All right, I'm going to have to end that segment there because I want to say one more thing before we go, and I had a couple more stories, but, it was nice to see the triumphant return of the wonderful show,
Hell going on out there?
Maybe it'll come back sometime. But I had to cut it short because I want to tell you about my new hero, because she said something that makes me proud, and I can totally identify with her. Her name is Greta Thunberg, and she's a 16-year-old girl. And I just found out she has Asperger's syndrome, which is an autistic disorder most notable for the often great discrepancy between the intellectual and social abilities of those who have it. Now, Asperger's syndrome is a pervasive developmental disorder that is characterized by the inability to understand how to interact socially. Yeah, well, I may have it too because I don't even want to interact socially the way everyone is taught to do it and be proper and never speak your mind, if it goes against the herd mentality. But Greta is a Swedish climate activist. She's known for having initiated the school strike for climate movement that formed in November of 2018 and surged globally after she gave a brilliant speech at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in December that same year. Anyways, listen to how astute she is. I love this girl for knowing this, and at such a young age, just like someone else you might know. Vince Marcanti. So, some people don't figure out what she's going to say until they are middle-aged, or they never do. But listen to this brilliant young lady. I love her.
It makes me different, and being different is a gift, I would say. And it also makes me see things from outside the box. And I don't easily fall for lies. I can see through things. And things like that. If I would have been like everyone else, I wouldn't have started this school strike, for instance. And things like that. I don't think I would have become interested in the climate at all if I would have been like everyone else. Because now I think differently.
Enough said, Greta. You think for yourself. You don't think like everyone else. Get rid of that herd mentality. You freaking go, girl. I love you. You are much needed in our fight to enlighten the sheepies, and I'm going to keep trying because I'm inspired by her and others and all you Pluto heads out there. So friend me on Facebook or write to the Plutocracy Report at gmail.com if you so wish. Thanks to Brooksy and Butch and all you guys and gals for reaching out already. You know who you are. And thanks for joining me on the Plutocracy Report. I'm Vince Marcanti, and on the next installment, we will feature more brilliant commentary. Until then, bye-bye!